Today we will look at how long it takes for a cat to retain memories. There are situations when a cat gets lost, where you have to leave the animal with relatives because of a long trip, where you even need to give the cat into good hands, because it is impossible to take it with you. In such sad moments, you begin to wonder, how long will the cat remember me? First, let's look at the features of the brain and memory of a pet. The cat's brain is similar to the human brain. It consists of the same basic parts, but its shape and size are different. For example, the cerebellum, which coordinates balance and movement, is much larger in cats. It is therefore not surprising that cats have excellent agility. However, humans have an extremely developed and complex prefrontal cortex, an area of the brain associated with higher cognitive abilities, that is, the brain's skills to analyze information and make rational decisions, control emotions, and pay close attention to something. If you compare the intelligence of a cat with the intelligence of a person, then the IQ of cats is approximately equal to the IQ of a 3-year-old child. A cat's perception of the world occurs not only through vision, but also through hearing and smell. A cat has almost 40 times more odor-sensitive cells than a human. The sense of smell allows you to recognize the owner, for example, even when he is outside the door. However, if the smell changes, for example, a person suddenly started using a new perfume, then this method may not work. At this moment, the cat can rely on its excellent hearing, listening to the familiar voice or the special gait of the owner. It is worth noting that cats remember their voices very well. Moreover, it does not matter at all whether the animal hears this voice over the phone, through a closed door, or in a recording. Hearing a familiar voice, the cats began to behave more confidently and calmly. Cats also have a highly developed hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory and navigation. Cats are adaptable and can adapt to changes in their environment. They are able to explore new routes and landmarks even in unfamiliar territory. Cats have an innate sense of direction. They can find their way home from many kilometers away and remember the exact location of their favorite places to sleep, even if the last time they were there was months ago. They also remember where to find food in a place they haven't been to in 10 years. If it's important to the cat, she will remember it. Although their navigation skills are not fully understood, some researchers believe they may even sense the Earth's magnetic fields and can take into account the position of the sun to navigate their environment. Cats are good at remembering the daily routine, where and what is, and also when to expect their owner from work. They remember the sound of a treat bag being opened and the exact time of day when they usually get their favorite food. Therefore, it is obvious that cats, like people, have short-term and long-term memory. However, cats don't think too much about the future and don't plan like we do based on past memories. Research has shown that cats have better long-term memory than previously thought and are able to remember people and places for many years. However, they are very selective about what they need to remember. As a rule, they remember what is important to them or is colored with vivid emotions. For example, people with whom they had a strong connection, who fed, played, and looked after the animal. In addition, cats remember difficult moments in their lives well. For example, if a cat was treated poorly, then it will be extremely difficult for her to start trusting people again. Or, if a cat was bitten by a dog, then the cat will be wary of any breed of dog. Such properties of memory can be called selectivity. Because only the information that the cat needs for a prosperous existence is remembered. When it comes to short-term memory, cats exhibit interesting features. According to research, they can remember where a hidden toy is located after 10 minutes, and at the same time, literally after 30 seconds, forget where the object was moved if it disappeared from their field of vision and was not of particular interest to them. In another study, scientists found that cats remembered where their treats were moved after 16 hours. So while experts have studied cats' short-term memory a lot, how good it is still a tricky question. Long-term memory in cats is well developed, but the general consensus is that this largely depends on how strongly the cat was affected by the event that formed the memory in the first place. If a person occupied an important place in the animal's life, then the cat can remember him throughout its life. The cat simply will not forget the vivid emotions and memories that he received as a result of long-term communication with him. Cats also remember well people who periodically treated them when visiting their owners, or those who treated them poorly in the past. Don't forget that cats have a strong sense of smell and easily remember different odors. For example, cats perfectly remember the smell of their owner, and when, many years later, they encounter this smell again, it causes them excitement. There are many cases where cats got lost and searched for the home of their owners for a long time, and they managed to do it. And such stories are indeed not uncommon. However, if the cat did not particularly notice and did not have contact with the person, then it is not a fact that the animal will remember him. Thus, cats have an excellent memory and rarely forget what they need for a prosperous existence. As you can see for yourself, the next time you pack your suitcase for a trip, and your cat will angrily watch it. After all, the cat remembers very well that the last time you left the apartment with this suitcase, you were not home for an eternity. Upon your arrival, the cat may even become completely unfriendly and simply begin to ignore you, showing with all its appearance that it frankly doesn't care that you have finally deigned to return home, and now everything will be as before: games, affection, and treats. Therefore, many people think that the cat simply forgot them. Although, in fact, this is how the cat only demonstrates its deep cat resentment. After all, any cat does not like sudden changes in its daily routine.